This is the Town of Lake Park, Florida regular commission meeting for Wednesday, July 15, 2026. The time is now 6:31 p.m. Can we have the clerk please take the roll call?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Thomas?
Present.
Commissioner O'Rourke is not present. Commissioner Linden? Present. Vice Mayor Hensley?
Here.
And Mayor Michaud.
Here. Can we all please rise for the pledge? All righty. I hope everyone is having a good day as we talk business this evening. So, next we have the approval of the agenda. I will entertain a motion for approving the agenda as it stands.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as it stands.
We have a first and a second. Any other further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The approval of the agenda passes unanimously. Next, we have a special presentation from our Palm Beach County property appraiser, Ms. Dorothy Jacks. We are delightful to have you here tonight, and we are looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you very much, Mayor Michaud. It's an honor to call you that. I think some of you may know that Mayor Michaud works for me. And I consider him a really great and important part of our team. He has been with us how many years? 20?
This year will make 25.
25 years with our office. And he's a very well-liked, very well-supported senior member of our field appraisal team, and we just love that he's there. He's great with the public, he's great with our staff, and he mentors a lot of people in our office, and it's always fun to be here in Lake Park and see him in this role. So I did want to take a moment, if I could, just to make a personal point. I grew up in the north end of the county. I lived in Palm Beach Gardens, went to Gardens High School, and my parents lived here until they passed in the last 3 or 4 years, both of them. And my brother and I went through their home in order to sell it after they had passed. And my parents had a lot of books, a great deal of books. And I only recently finally went through the last ones, and I found this particular one. Sorry. It's called In My Garden, and it's a children's book. My mother took care of my nephews for many years when they were children, also in Palm Beach Gardens. And I thought, oh, what a lovely children's book. And I opened it up, and guess where it's from? It's from the Lake Park Library. Who's the librarian?
Excuse me, Dorothy, but you owe overdue fees.
Yes. Well, I did grow a little concerned about that. I thought, oh, maybe Mom never returned it. And then I thought, well, no, maybe knowing my mom, she would have never kept a library book, but she might have bought it at a sale. So I thought I'd bring it back tonight in my garden and return it to the Lake Park Library, because I think some other grandma might enjoy reading it to their grandchildren. So here's my book to your librarian.
And for the record, let it be known, Commissioner O'Rourke is present at our meeting.
So I did have I have a short presentation for you tonight. Like I said, thank you very much for including me and inviting me. I'm going to talk a little bit about Lake Park and the current status of the tax roll, and then spend a little bit of time talking about the Amendment 3 that will appear on the ballot this fall to look at increasing the homestead exemptions in Florida. So let's get started. A little bit of information about the current state of Lake Park. And you have here in front of you the market value, which went to $2.2 billion this year. In 2025, that was a 1.77 number. Taxable value 1.79 billion. It was 1.29 billion last year. The net new construction is the real wonderful figure, which I think most of us know is primarily from the beautiful new building on US 1, the Nautilus building, 419 million. I'm sorry. There we are. Here we are. Okay. The percent increase from last year to this, 38%, which is pretty significant, one of the highest in the county, and the parcel count has gone up it was just over 3,000 last year, and it's gone to 3,300. And again, that's probably the 300 or so units in the condominium tower. A condominium is one big building, but it is, because all the units are owned individually, it is each a parcel, because each of those owners will receive a bill. Different from an apartment building, I always like to make that distinction. Apartment building, there's one owner, one landlord, who owns the entire tower, whether there's 2 units or 200 units. So when we think about a parcel, we think about a taxable unit, if you will. So a condominium unit is a parcel, and so is a big apartment tower. The tangible accounts, tangible is tangible personal property, so business equipment, and that's just the number of accounts that we have on the roll. Last year, it was just one higher, 772, and went down to 771. Totally normal. Businesses open, businesses close, so there's usually like a zero net difference between them. The next 2 slides show you how I suppose these got somehow in translation, they've shifted a little bit, so I hope these numbers aren't so difficult to read, but it's as if the font has changed, but it's okay. We'll still cover this information. So the market, let's go back one more. Please excuse I'm going to not touch the pointer. Okay, so the market value of Lake Park, I mentioned at the beginning, 2.2, and then I'm pointing out to you here the things that reduce your market value down to your taxable. People often ask me, well, what's the difference between those 2 very big numbers? And there's a number of things that go into it. First, you have your Save Our Homes differential. That's a 3% cap on homesteaded property. That reduces that number by almost $200 million. Then there's the 10% cap on non-homesteaded property, which is another $100 million. So that's businesses, vacant land, anything that apartments, second homes, all of those are subject to the 10% cap. So that means that if their market value goes up more than 10% a year, they're capped at 10%. Works the same way as the 3% cap. Pollution control devices, that's always interesting because it's an unusual one. You have some of those. And then we get down to the assessed value. And if we go to the second page of this graph, the assessed value carries over, and you will see the reductions due to homestead, the first 25,000. This will become interesting when we get to the slides about the ballot initiative. 25,000. And can one of you control my slides if I hand you this? I don't know what I'm doing. So the first line, 33 million from the first homestead, 34 million from the second. So that's because the second homestead is actually worth a little bit more than the first. It's actually worth 25 and change now. You all, thank you, provide an age 65 low-income exemption to seniors, and that is a little bit of a reduction also. That is not across the county. It is not all municipalities either. So I'm glad you guys do that. I think it's an important exemption. I wish that more cities had it themselves. The 25,000 tangible personal property is small businesses up to 25,000 in value get it's as if they're getting a homestead on their personal property. Then you have government, which includes anything such as this building we're in, your library, any other government buildings. Institutional are churches, charities, not any kind of not-for-profit. And then others is the additional exemptions such as widowers, disabilities, historics, etc. So then we get down to 1.7 billion in taxable value, almost 1.8, and you are at I'm sorry you can't see the bottom of that slide. You're at 78% of taxable value of your market, which is actually very good. It means that you're not losing a lot of your value to exemptions and caps and so forth at this point. Okay, next slide. Thank you. So I have brought some information about the 2026 property tax amendment. I'll tell you a little bit about what it says and tell you a little bit about what's happening right at the moment. So in the legislature in special session adopted an amendment which will go on to the ballot in November, which provides for an increase in the homestead exemption amounts. It was originally billed as a tax elimination. However, what it really is an increase in exemption. So the $25,000 exemption, $50,000 if you add them together, would go up to $150,000 in 2027, and then to $250,000 in 2028. It would be indexed to inflation after that. In 2029, go up gradually, even higher than $250,000. The first $25,000 of the $250,000, or let's talk about it as $250,000, applies to all taxing authorities, including the schools. However, the remaining portion, taxpayers would pay the school millage. Okay, so everyone's millage, about a third of it, give or take, goes to the school board. It's about 6 mils total. And under the new scenario, everything over $25,000, you would continue to pay school tax, plus, of course, anything you owe over $250,000. New residents starting January 1st, 27, so that is people who move to Florida or become a homesteader after January 1, 27, would actually have to wait a 5-year period being homesteaded, but at the current homestead rate. They would not receive benefit of the $150 or $250 for 5 years. After 5 years, after they have had their homestead for 5 years, they then would receive the $250 amount. That is controversial in a lot of ways. It's also a concern, a concern. It will probably be challenged in court because it creates 2 different kinds of resident. It creates a resident who was here before January 1st, 27, and a resident who is after. And the courts have weighed in on this before and said you can't have 2 different kinds. You're either a resident or you're not. There can't be 2 classes of resident, as it were. So that is something that may be tested in the courts. I have, just to be clear, and I'll say this again at the end, this is on the November 3rd ballot. It will have to pass by 60% to pass. All amendments must meet a 60% threshold. All right, let's go over what those numbers look like for the town of Lake Park. Can we go on one more slide? So here I have given you a couple data points. The first is about property counts. We talked earlier about parcels, so that's what I mean by a property count. And then I'll give you the value, the dollar figures on the next slide. So you have just over 3,000 parcels in Lake Park, first column. You have 2,200 that are residential. And of those 2,200, 1,300 are homesteaded. So the remainder of those, almost 900 properties are probably rentals. Or they could be second homes, but they're people who have not qualified for homestead. today. We used 2025 numbers for this because we don't yet have the 2026 numbers finalized. When we have your millage rates later this summer, we'll be reproducing these numbers for 2026. 15 of the 1,300 homesteads in 2025 had an assessed value of less than $50,000. So right now, they're not paying property tax. They're only paying school tax on their second 25. If we went to in 2027, when we go to 150,000, that would rise to 651 residents would not pay any property tax to the town of Lake Park if your millages remained the same and their value remained the same until a point where their value went above the 250,000 mark, and then they would begin paying tax. I'm sorry, the next column is where homestead properties with assessed values less than 250,000. So in 2028, 1,000 of the 1,300 homesteaders would stop paying property tax to Lake Park and the county and all the districts except the school board. They would no longer pay the healthcare district, the Children's Services Council, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The water management district, and so forth. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide and see what that looks like in dollars. In 2025, again, we're using just 2025 numbers at this point. The town collected or levied and collected $6.5 million in total property taxes, ad valorem property taxes. There was a $381,000 loss due to the current homestead. That would go to first year $900,000, second year $1.137 million. So, as a percentage of the total collection, it would be about 20% of your total collection. So, of course, at this, you would have many, you'd have many ways that you could approach that. You could raise your millage rate. You could do special assessments, which is something which there's been a lot of talk about, but there would be quite a big gap to fill. Okay. Can we go to the next slide? So again, November 3rd, a 60% passage. Taxpayers wouldn't need to reapply for homestead. It would just be automatically increased if it passed, and it would be effective January 1st. There's a few other not as important rules. One of them surrounding that, I shouldn't say it's not as important. They're all important. I forgot to cover this on my first slide, but non-homesteaded, that 10% cap I mentioned earlier would drop to 5% if this is approved. So what that means is businesses and a rental property would, instead of each year being capped at 10% increase, which is a pretty high increase, they would be capped and only pay up to 5%. Now, is that significant? Not necessarily, because values don't usually go up 5%, especially for businesses. You'll see anywhere from 2, maybe 4%, but 5% is quite a high threshold. It's a hard number to know what the impact would be, and that's why we haven't run any numbers for that, mainly because of the market as well, which is very impacted. The economy impacts business property substantially. And if we had a hiccup in the economy, well, there would be no increase in value. So whether you had 10% or 5%, it wouldn't matter. We've only had a few years where values went up more than 10%. Those were around the COVID years. We had quite a number of properties that jumped significantly, but then that slowed down. That's really not the case anymore. We're back to that 2 to 4% a year. So with that, that's my last slide. I don't want to leave you with all negatives. I hope you'll ask me some positive questions, but I am here and more than happy to answer some questions and just say thank you again for having me.
And thank you for bringing this information to us about our town. That's a big reason why I asked for you to come, just to have transparency to all of the residents here. That way they understand they have all the information they need before they make that vote on November 3rd, and see both sides of the coin as far as what will happen in the event the 60% is not met versus if it is. And I would like, if you can, the slides that she has here, if you could put that as far as the minutes, so that way when the public do go and look at the minutes, they have that information, because the numbers are there, and they need to be aware fully. And again, I want to thank you for coming here and doing this, and always a pleasure to have you, even though I see you every day anyway. but have you come here and give our town some important information that they need to know. So I will open the floor to any of my colleagues here if they have any comments or questions. Commissioner Linden.
How does this directly affect the businesses in town?
The businesses. So the concern on the part of anybody who's not homesteaded, in my mind, would be if millage rates go up. So if any of our municipalities or our county have to make a decision to raise the millage rate in order to cover the loss, everyone is going to pay the higher millage rate. So if you're a business, even if you might have the benefit of the 5% cap, your taxes that you pay will go up. You know, the rate cannot be carved out for just the homesteaders. It'll have to be for everybody. So that's my concern about businesses. I think that there is an undue, I think another way to put it is, exemptions are, by their nature, absorbed somewhere else. So one person's exemption is going to turn into someone else's tax. And this is no different. The tax burden will have to shift to properties that are either not homesteaded or certainly to the value above that $250,000 threshold.
All right, thank you. Great explanation.
I just want to say thank you for the information. This is very informative, and I think the mayor has stressed that it probably needs to be in a minute so people can get a more insight on this. It's a very important issue that's coming up, and I think everybody needs to be educated on it. Thank you for coming, and I'm glad you're here because you kept Roger on the check. He's just the nicest he's ever been.
Commissioner Thomas.
Hello, Ms. Jacks. My question is, how often do our property appraisers come and reassess the values of those homes?
Great question. We are on Florida is on a market value as of January 1st annually. So my office is studying market data for all properties every year. So how that looks is we create neighborhoods based on like properties, and then we look in that pool of properties and see how many sold. And based on the sales data, whether it tells us that the area is going up in value, down in value, or staying the same, we move all the properties. Now, that happens at a market value level. The thing all of us as homeowners, though, see is that because we are homesteaded and our value only can go up 3%, while our market value may go up because our neighborhood is doing better and going up, our market value just clicks up that 3% a year, and it doesn't really seem like the neighborhood is moving. But actually, if you look, especially at our website, you can see there's a market value number, which is the number we're moving every year. And then there's an assessed value, which is the capped number, which is what I'm paying taxes on. That minus my exemptions equal my taxable value. So what happens is you get these neighborhoods where everybody's a little different. But if you look at that market number, it is probably fairly the same for similar properties. I mean, that's the important part. We're not valuing a home that was built last year on a 5-acre property the same as we're valuing a 40-year-old home, you know, on a smaller property. Everything is done based on similar properties. and how it's valued.
Which leads me, of course, to the other concern, looking at, I'm thinking like 45% of our properties that are here are actually homestead, so they're homeowner properties. The other 55, I would imagine, would be rental or something of that nature. The impact that we're seeing across Palm Beach County, of course, is gentrification. And we have fairly been a middle class, middle income community for a very long time, and a very affordable community. And I say that in a very positive way, because that word just seems to, throw things away. But how do a community like ours maintain the stability to ensure that the housing prices, and especially for first-time homeowners or those really who are trying to transition into more affordable housing, what can we do, understanding that this could occur? The increases as well as these large exemptions.
Well, I think you ask a lot of really great questions, and many of them above my pay grade, as it were. I wish I could tell you more about how you sort of stop this transition that we're seeing in Palm Beach County, because I don't know. It's taking away from some of our really lovely communities and neighborhoods all over our county. And Lake Park is amazing. I mean, your location where you are is just wonderful. And you have preserved a sort of small town feel that people love, people are drawn to. But what does that do? It drives more people to want to live here, which of course drives a market. It's hard. It's hard to know, how do you get that balance? How do you get that balance between preserving, an interesting historic community that has been here a long time, and not letting it sort of get away from you, as it were. But I don't know. I think it's all about town. It's all about that feel of I want to be a part of Lake Park, and of course your services are good, and your residents feel like they're home in your community. But honestly, I don't know how we stop it. I really don't. And I think, we have been sold as a state which is, quote, tax friendly, and it's just bringing more and more people here. It's hard to know how you sort of control for that. But I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I mean, I grew up right here off of North Lake, just on the other side of North Lake, and in the old Palm Beach Gardens Plat 1, right by Hal Watkins Middle School. And, it's very different, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Your presentation was very clear, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Maybe our next presentation may answer some of those questions, possibly.
Ah, yes.
Commissioner O'Rourke.
Thank you. Ms. Jacks, first of all, I want to thank you for your service to this county. You're one of our best public servants in the county. You've served us well for many years now, and we do appreciate that. Now I'm going to hit you with some questions, though, and they're not good. I would never try to diminish what you do. You're really an excellent public servant and constitutional representative for our community. So I wanted to ask, though, the increase in the value, you talked about it was, what did you say it was, 20, we went to $2 billion, which is a milestone again for us that we hit 3 years ago, I believe, where we went to $1 billion. And in a short period of time, we've gone up to $2 billion in property value total. Would you say that quick increase is mostly due to new development, mainly the Nautilus project, for example?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of it is due to the new development that
Because,
you're doing.
as
yeah.
you said before, they're individual units, and as a result of that, each one has to pay a tax on that property. So the thing that I'm wondering about, though, is that's our waterfront property. We all know, as you said just a little while ago, our location is fantastic. We're right on the water. That value of the property, when we started planning those projects, that was what we did to assess, hey, this is going to work for us, because we had an underdeveloped area of our waterfront area. So, but moving to our downtown area, we have a CRA. Do you have any assessment as to, with regard to that area? And you probably have not done that breakout of that, but I'm a little concerned right now with regard to the value of our property in our CRA, because as you know, that's a very important source of funding for us also. Do you have any assessment as to how things are going in the downtown area?
I don't have any specifics on me. I can certainly get those for you. I should have brought the CRA numbers for you tonight, but year over year, but we can get those for you with no trouble at all. Even breaking it down, if you want to, we can get you a map with where have things moved in the CRA specifically that'll help you. Okay. We keep a close eye on all the downtowns, big or small, because you do have, periods of good increase in a lot of our downtowns, and then sometimes you don't. A lot of it is so driven by the larger economy as well in downtown areas, and it's been so in flux for the last couple years, and I think a lot of business people may be just waiting to see what happens with the economy now, which will impact our next couple of years. Yeah, but we can definitely get those for you.
Thank you. That's it for me now. Thank you so much for this great news and good information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Town manager, you good?
First, I want to say thank you to Ms. Jacks as well. She's comes to the manager's group as well, and the finance, been everywhere. So you and your staff are just always a pleasure to work with. So thank you.
Okay. And again,
Well,
thank you from all of us.
And thank you again for letting me return my book to your library. I hope somebody else enjoys it as much as my mom did. So, yes.
That's classic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All righty. Our next presentation and direction is Urban County Qualification Process from Palm Beach County Housing and Economic Development, otherwise known as HED.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Town Manager, staff, and public. My name is Alessandra Tosca, and I am the Director of Strategic Planning for the Department of Housing and Economic Development at Palm Beach County. We do a lot in the department, and one aspect of that is the CDBG program. The CDBG program, together with other federal grant programs, are part of the Department of Housing and Urban Development that we refer to as HUD. Within that, Palm Beach County is what we call an entitlement community, and we have a jurisdiction that we refer to as an urban county program jurisdiction. And so in this presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about what that entails very quickly. And the purpose of the presentation is to present to you all the information, answer any questions, and then hopefully you, with your staff and your town manager, can determine whether or not you want to renew your participation in the county's urban county program. okay? And this is something that we have to do as part of the Urban County program every 3 years. So every 3 years, the municipalities and the county determine whether or not they want to renew their participation. So I mentioned we received this as part of our CDBG entitlement funds, and CDBG stands for Community Development Block Grant. Municipal eligibility consists of cities under 50,000 in population. Those cities participate in the county's urban county program. When a city or a town surpasses that population threshold, they have the ability to potentially qualify to receive their HUD CDBG funding directly. So by renewing your participation in this program, which Lake Park has historically always participated in, it ensures your community is represented in countywide housing and economic development planning efforts. And if you need any more information on those or how they're developing, we can definitely get that back to you through your staff. It also provides a pathway to participate in future federal housing and community development initiatives, or make sure that you have a voice in anything that might come up in the future through our Urban County program. Why has the municipality participated in the Urban County program in the past? Because of the fact that HUD has an allocation formula for the entitlement communities that receive their allotment directly, we have also based our distribution and allocation of the funding that Palm Beach County receives on a similar formula allocation, so which is based on population, poverty levels, and housing overcrowding, and we get that data from the U.S. Census. Countywide participation in general, there are 39 municipalities in Palm Beach County. 32 of those, which includes currently Lake Park, participates in that Urban County, Palm Beach County program. The other 7 qualify to receive their funding directly. So if you continue your participation in this program, it keeps the municipality eligible each year despite how formula allocations are done at the federal level, because you are participating in the county's program. And lastly, some general benefits of remaining in the Urban County program. Lake Park, as one of the larger municipalities, does actually receive an annual formula-based local entitlement grant for capital improvement projects from the county. It's approximately $37,000 this year. You also receive, as needed, administrative support from us. We manage environmental reviews, procurement, labor compliance, and HUD reporting. So all of that gets funneled through the county, and we work with you all to determine what project you want to put forward, and we assist local municipality staff as much as possible to make sure all those projects are successful. Or, in case they aren't, reprogram those funds to a different project. But we like, if you're allocated a certain amount of money, to always keep it in the community where it's allocated. Also, there is the ability for some housing technical assistance, and if you have any questions about that, we can address it as well. I'll say something about that at the end. It ensures that your local needs are included and aligned with countywide affordable housing and neighborhood revitalization efforts or plans. And it does position you for future potential funding opportunities, not just this standard reoccurring annual allocation, but if and when other opportunities might become available, we help make sure that you're ready for those. This concludes my presentation because I just came, as noted, to give you a brief overview so that you know more information about potentially renewing your agreement with us. And I will like to also add that the county does convene a commission on affordable housing, and we meet monthly. And if anyone is interested in attending those meetings or getting information from that committee of the work that they do based on a requirement from the state of Florida for us to do that to maintain compliance with our grants, we can definitely provide that to you, including meeting dates and times if you want to attend in person or virtually. Okay.
Thank you for that. I'm actually glad you said that because I was reading the part about your urban county program and all the information for all the different programs and grants that you offer, especially to municipalities that don't carry their own program initially. And obviously, for one, we're one of them as far as our residents are concerned. And I see here you have the first-time home buyer assistance, housing rehabilitation and repair programs, demolition and redevelopment assistance, rental assistance, mortgage and foreclosure prevention assistance, homelessness prevention and supportive housing services, as well as community development projects that improve neighborhoods and public facilities. That would be information that would be beneficial to us, as my colleague was stating earlier in her question with our property appraiser, as far as what we can do, as far as moving our town forward in the event of what a possible vote could do for us, and as far as our community is concerned. That'd be information that we could have readily available in the event of. So if there's any way you can provide that to us, to our staff, and
Yes.
as well as the dates and times of those meetings, because I'm assuming the meetings correlate and tie with these programs itself,
Correct.
and that would benefit us all, and that way we can disseminate that same information to the public and to our residents, so that way they're aware of what opportunities they can present themselves with doing the due process of what they have to do to acquire it. So
Definitely. And I'll just confirm that we will provide additional information about current programs that are available, and we will also make sure that your staff stays on email lists to make sure that you're updated on a regular basis, and you are definitely welcome to attend any public meetings we have, so we'll make sure that you get that information on a regular basis. And renewing your agreement with the county for the urban county requalification in this program will ensure that your residents and this geographical area continues to be able to qualify for all those programs.
okay. I will open the floor. I'll start on my right side. Commissioner O'Rourke.
Thank you. I'm not going to ask a question. I want to get to the meat of what you just said.
Sure.
And I would ask that the commission consider a motion to agree to continue in the program.
Do we have a
I
motion?
make a motion to continue in the program. I know he's got to go do it through a letter, but we need to approve that right now.
Thank you.
Do we want to ask questions first before we make that motion,
Either way,
I
whatever.
think it's appropriate.
or does it not matter?
You don't have to, but anybody have any questions?
Okay. All right. Do we have a second?
If we have a second, then
But we can't, but I'm saying questions to the presenter. Make sure you're on the mic.
Commissioner O'Rourke has made a motion. If you want to discuss the item, you need a second to discuss it. If
Understood, but if we make a motion in a second, we can only discuss up here. If there are any questions to direct to the presenter, we can't make that motion yet, correct?
Okay. I'll just hold the motion.
That sounds like a good idea. Do we have any other questions for the presenter? Commissioner Thomas.
I do. I understand the urban counties program because we are a small community. We don't have our own CDBG funds. However, those programs, as the mayor had mentioned, are highly competitive in applying because it's countywide. And most people have to be on a waiting list. So my question, however, exists. The funding opens October 1st. And my understanding is that around May or so, there's a cutoff in order to try to process. The applicants who are on a waiting list, do you because I'll just ask the question. do they remain on that list, or they have to reapply again because of the fact that funding would stop in that May in order to ensure that those who were approved down, in the pipeline, and then you get refunded again? So I want to know, if you're on that waiting list, do you then begin again with that waiting list, or applicants then have to reapply the next following year?
Understood. So I will preface my answer in saying that it's a very good question, and it's very important for all residents to understand the application process and the criteria and the requirements and the eligibility of all programs at the onset, so that they can make informed decisions of whether or not they want to apply and how the whole process is going to play out. So I would like to get a written response with precise details to your town manager, so that you can have it in black and white from the division that manages those direct assistance programs. But keep in mind that we have various funding sources for different grants and programs, including state grant initiatives. Some people know it as SHIP, State Housing Initiatives Partnership, as well as some of these federal programs. So each grant and program might be slightly different. So I don't want to speak exactly about it in general. I would prefer to speak and provide a written statement about what current programs are open and not. But it is very true what you say, in that as the population increases, the need increases, and the funding doesn't increase correspondingly, and so these programs do become more competitive. So we have shifted to a lottery system, unfortunately, and people apply, qualify, and then have to wait and see if and how and when they get picked. But I believe that we make the application process as simple as possible and not cumbersome for people trying to get through. And I wouldn't imagine that we would have them continuously reapply unless it was a completely different program with a different funding source that had different criteria and eligibility concerns.
Which, of course, kind of like leads me to another one. We have a very old housing stock. Our community is, it's an old planned community. With that in mind, is there a way that our community as a whole could apply for, say, $100,000 in grants for whether it's housing rehab or first time, but then we are given like a pot of funds for that specific need that's within our community? And what I say is that right now we're going through budget hearings and budget workshops that we'll be going through. And a lot of the concerns here is, how do we help our residents who have, one, either aged in place and cannot afford to really do improvements to their property, or those who, because of the demographics that we have, we're middle class and 2 and 3 jobs in order to make it affordable for us to live here. How do we then get a pipeline into that fund without having to compete? I say that because I know from experience talking to our community development director about, here, are there any grants that are available in order to fix, someone's home or to make that assistance? And the answer to that is you have to apply to the county. When you apply to the county, you're at 235 as far as on the waiting list. And so therefore you begin again, and so that's the basis of my question. How could we, as small communities, ensure that there is a pot of money that's available that's then designated to our community for HUD funding?
I understand your question, and I will say that The repair and rehabilitation program for individual residential housing units is hands down probably one of the most popular programs across the state, for all the reasons that you mentioned. It could be considered one of the drawbacks of participating in a larger urban county program, in that what you said, you have to compete county-wide. Unfortunately, the funding that is calculated and allocated to Lake Park through this program is specifically for capital improvement projects, but you could look into public facility infrastructure improvements as well. The nature of how a repair and rehabilitation program is executed and managed is quite complex, dealing with inspections and contractors and so forth, that it's not feasible to allow that to happen through our program in all of the various different numerous municipalities. I have seen other communities do programs that could address housing stock, or that could even address, small business commercial facade through CRA programs. I'm not sure exactly what the availability of funding is in your CRA program, but that could potentially be an option. I will notate this, and it is something that is common amongst communities wanting more repair and rehabilitation funding. This particular program here, the CDBG program, is not typically used for that, but we can put it to our Commission on Affordable Housing and see if there are any other opportunities, and make sure your staff is aware of them if we do notice that they come up.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything over here? Okay. Thank you again for your presentation.
No problem. Thank you so much for having
me.
me.
To our questions. Oh, I'm sorry. Tom, Commissioner O'Rourke.
I move to renew our process of being involved in the CBGD program with regard to the entire urban county program.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any other further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Again, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you all. Good evening.
And we'll have the letter prepared.
I just want to say thank you to the Commission. Thank you to Ms. Tasca. This, of course, is important funding for our community.
Yep.
We use CDBG dollars for so many different things, and so it's yes, and it's nice to know that we have a dedicated source of funding. Of course, it's federal dollars, so we don't know how long or how much it always is going to be, but it's really an opportunity to support our community with whether it's recreational needs, ADA needs, or just a lot of different things. So it's been very helpful, and we appreciate the county for their support. So thank you, guys.
Okay. Moving along, we have public comment. I do have, I believe, 4 public comment cards. Of course, public comment is 3 minutes, so please be mindful of talking during the person that's up here speaking on his or her 3 minutes, and we will begin. I will call up first Ms. Katia Zaskova.
Good evening. My name is Katia, and I'm here tonight because of a toxic culture of bullying and hostility that has been allowed to fester on this dais. On a regular basis, we watch Commissioner Thomas publicly attack our town manager, Rich Reed, and relentlessly question his professional judgment. No highly qualified, self-respecting professional would ever want to work in this kind of environment. These ongoing, unprovoked outbursts are severely damaging commissioners' own reputation. Commissioners were elected to represent the residents of Lake Park, not to satisfy personal need for control and certainly not to please their own egos on public dime. This behavior also directly violates our town charter and our commission manager form of government. Under our charter, the commission's role is strictly limited to setting policy. The town manager is a sole administrative head responsible for staff. Our charter has a strict non-interference provision, yet current and former town employees tell us that they are receiving direct operational instruction from certain commissioners, completely bypassing the chain of commands. This creates absolute chaos. Employees are left confused and stressed while watching their boss get publicly attacked on a regular basis. Bullying and harassment should not be a part of any Lake Park employee's work environment. Finally, we must ask who is really driving these relentless attacks. Are they being instigated by Forest Development's desire to see our manager fired? Is this campaign to undermine his authority designed to clear the path for a private developer's interests at the expense of our residents? Residents support our town manager and they're outraged at how he has been treated. We demand that Commission preserve the status quo regarding town manager Reed's employment. We demand that commissioners who have been regularly attacking Mr. Reed refrain from initiating, seconding, or voting on any adverse employment actions against him. It's time to protect our employees, uphold our charter, and end the bullying in Lake Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Steen Erickson. Sir.
Steen Erickson, Palm Beach County Firefighters. And sorry, I'm underdressed as compared to last meeting, but that's
It's okay.
so it's dressed down Wednesday. For quite some time, I've been noticing the way that in the chambers here that the flags have been displayed, and it's just and as the honor guard, I've always thought that we should kind of dress it up a little bit, but then especially after last month's meeting when we came in here all formal with the honor guard, the pipes and drums, and had our formal presentation of colors for the Pledge of Allegiance, I thought, well, we need to do something. So the honor guard and the professional firefighters of Palm Beach County want to give you these flag spreaders, and what they are, they clip onto the flag pole itself, and there's clips on there, and they'll just, what, have you already talked about that? Oh, okay. But anyway, so that's what we want to do for you. Just then that way you'll have your flags displayed properly, and I won't feel bad about it sitting back there in the back looking at them like this all the time. So anyway, that's what we'd like to do. So that's
we greatly appreciate
well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Steinhauer.
They're right. Yeah, they're right.
And for the record, I have passed your written public comment to everyone on the dais.
Thank you. I want to address a troubling pattern that I've observed during recent public comment periods and that have been validated by others. Over a few meetings, several speakers supporting forest development have delivered testimony that is nearly identical, not just in opinion, which is fine, but in wording, structure, and even phrases. It's become increasingly apparent that these comments are not independently prepared statements, but rather a script that has been written in advance and distributed to supporters. Certainly, every resident has the right to endorse or oppose a project. I respect that right completely. What concerns me is when public testimony becomes mass-produced advocacy instead of genuine individual subjective participation. One purpose of public comments before you are to encourage authentic thoughts, experiences, and concerns of residents. When the same prepared language is repeated a few times, it creates the illusion of broad, independent support when the Commission is really hearing a message orchestrated and staged. That's dishonest and unethical. And it does not strengthen public discourse. In fact, it weakens it. It discourages critical thinking and reduces citizens to repetitive, parrot-like talking points rather than speaking in their own voices. I'm not asking this commission to limit anyone's speech. I would never do that. I'm asking that we recognize the difference between organic public input and arranged conspiratory testimony. The quality of our decision-making depends on hearing a diversity of viewpoints, but expressed honestly and independently. If a development is truly beneficial, it should be able to withstand thoughtful scrutiny and be supported or objected to by residents who can explain in their own words why they believe it serves the community or not. I can pledge to you I am only aware of residents speaking for themselves, or the same for people who may be testifying on behalf of the Engagement Society. They speak their own mind in their own way. I urge the Commission to continue evaluating every project based on facts, evidence, planning standards, and the genuine interests of the town, not on the number of people lined up in a chorus, spoon-fed the same prepared script. Residents are monitoring these occurrences carefully, and I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Mary Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank our mayor, Roger Mashad, for last Saturday morning he spent with us. I appreciate it very much, as everyone does. It was truly heartwarming to see so many residents gathered to voice their opinions and support one another unanimously on many important topics. Mayor Mashad gracefully listened and hopefully accepted the consensus of the group, which was their rejection of high-rise buildings at 10th and Park. Even though this rejection may not be the ideal first choice of developers, staff, and some commissioners. Secondly, on my daily trips to Publix, I paused to admire the new Avalon residential project. I don't often lavish praise on new construction, but the building is very attractive. It is huge, but the location, design, and overall look and feel seem to enhance. It seems to fit the town of Lake Park. What's funny? Am I a joke?
Ms. Mary, can you finish your public comment, please?
Lake Park welcomes newcomers, our new Nautilus residents, and we look forward to meeting and shopping with the new Avalon neighbors. But I, as well as most Lake Park residents, believe there should be limits on density. So did the crafters of the town's comprehensive plan and the experts that submitted the first version of the Kimley Horn report. Residents have long appreciated the lifestyle of their quiet, small, working-class neighborhood of Lake Park. The privacy and peaceful enjoyment of their homes and surroundings should be protected from overdevelopment and its results: overcrowding, overheating, pollution, congestion, the burden on limited resources, and in the case of proposed high-rise buildings on 10th and Park adjacent to residential homes, loss of privacy. Thanks also to Commissioner John Linden, who attended the meeting and listened to attendees. I hope other commissioners decide to give residents similar opportunities to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the public comment cards I have for today. Next, we have the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion. Vice Mayor?
I want to pull item 5.
Okay. For the record, item number 5 has been pulled from consent by Vice Mayor. Any other requests?
Mayor, I'd like to pull 4 and 6, please.
For the record, items 4 and 6 have been pulled from consent by Commissioner Linden. Left on consent is Item number 3. So I will entertain a motion for the one item on consent.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda item 3.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in... I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. I apologize. I wanted to poll.
You indicated to me you wanted to pull 4 and 6, and Vice Mayor has pulled 5,
Okay.
which
just wanted
leaves
to double
which
check. I'm
leaves number
sorry.
3. No, that's fine.
I apologize.
That is okay. Okay. We have a first and a second. We had a slight discussion, a slight clarification. Any other comments? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The consent agenda passes unanimously. We will go ahead and move forward with the 3 items that were pulled. Item number 4, emergency equipment repair, Town Hall AC chiller system by Carrier Corporation for $19,233. Commissioner Linden, this was your item that you pulled. You may begin.
Thank you very much. I understand that it was a delay in getting this done, and a big delay, and I'm not sure why, so I had a few questions for you. As I read through the agenda, and I noticed that we took it on for a bid, and we got 2 bids back, one which we accepted. What kind of bothered me was we're already under contract with Johnson Controls. Why did they not fix the air conditioning?
This is a different type of service that goes beyond the Johnson Control contract, which is for tracking right now. They're not in the repair contract. So we did request 2 quotes. We did the 3-process quote. And we were allowed to proceed due to the emergency of the chiller. We had 2 areas that needed to be addressed immediately to prevent a major damage to the system. So as I spoke and I explained the situation to the town manager, he agreed that it was an emergency repair, and we proceed to request the quotes to move forward with the repair.
The PBSO is a vital part for us in this town. No one will disagree with that. How come it took a week or 2 to get that resolved? How long did it take to get that resolved? Air conditioning.
The air conditioner for the PBCO took approximately, let's say, a month. We could give or take. We were looking for quotes, and then I thought we were talking about the town hall, but now we moved to the PVSO, right? Just to confirm.
Yes, this item is for the town hall.
Yes, we were on number 4, which is the town hall.
Yeah, okay. I've got a bunch of notes and I looked at the wrong one. Okay. Well, town hall falls under the same thing. How long did it take us to fix town hall? We have people working there all during the day. and
They're still
gets-
working. Yes.
So what was your answer to getting it fixed?
What you mean, what is my answer to getting it fixed?
You got bids.
Okay, no, we were requested to obtain bids to fix the AC from the town hall. As we look for the bids, I explained to the town manager the urgency of repairing the system because it was working at a 25%, which meant that we were stressing the other components of the system. So if we did not fix it, then we could jeopardize the entire system. As I explained it to the town manager, he agreed with the urgency. We also got an additional quote just to confirm that we were within that market value, and then we proceed to use the contractor that we selected.
All right. And so it was at 25%. If I remember reading correctly. Did we contact Johnson Controls at all? I know what you said earlier, but were they asked to look at this? Since we pay them a nice sum of money.
So, Commissioner, just to confirm and clarify, Johnson Control monitors our system. They don't no longer provide maintenance services to our systems.
Makes sense, but if I'm monitoring the system, and that's what I'm getting paid for, I should know when the system's getting ready to have a catastrophe out there. And that bothers me. What are we paying them for? And this whole deal came up at the last meeting we had for the budget. And we had requested, and I went through my emails today for the contract with them, and I did not find it.
Commissioner.
You were supposed to send out that contract for Johnson Controls, and I could not find it.
So, Commissioner, I recall sending it twice, but if you want it, I'll send it a third time, but I did send it to all commissioners.
All right, if I have it in there, I'll apologize. I'll search one more time. But we need to be more on top of that. I just don't like the fact of paying people money, big money, to monitor that and to get no results. And while they know, so they're no longer in the repair business, period.
So, based on our contract, they do not provide us those services. If we want to obtain additional service with them, then that's like another regular company. But they don't provide us those services based on our contract. Our contract only states monitoring the savings that they guarantee that the town will receive in the period of time that we have the contract with them.
And they didn't think enough to recommend a company?
Commissioners, we have companies that we work with them daily, and we have contract with them right now.
Nova? Or who's the other contractor?
Carrier.
Carrier, yeah, I read both of those.
That's what this agenda item is for Carrier.
Yeah, we got to pay Carrier.
Correct.
To do it. And this is somewhat of an issue that now may not be the time, maybe during the contract. When's the contract due with Johnson Controls? Do you know? I'm putting you on the spot, so if you don't, that's okay. I apologize.
Commissioners, don't worry.
The
contract with Johnson Control is for monitoring our annual savings on our utilities. Based on the contract, the original contract, they had guaranteed the town that we would have some annual savings of such amount. I don't know the amount. If you allow me, I'll get you the amount, and I'll share again the contract. Nevertheless, if the savings were not met, then they have a commitment to then pay the town for that portion. Now, if the savings were met, then we have to honor the contract that we have with them.
Okay, I think we just need to stay focused on what the agenda item is for. It's for Carrier Corporation at night for the chiller at $19,233. I understand, Commissioner Linden, you're asking questions about another company, but I'm under the impression that this company, we've always had them just for monitoring purposes. So,
Mr. Mayor, if I can clarify, I think what's happened, first of all, the contract expires with Johnson, I believe it's January 2037.
Okay.
It's an 18-year deal. What happened was we came in because we didn't have the money at one point, and we contracted with Johnson Controls to come in and do what's called a performance contract.
Mm-hmm.
They put the money up front so that all this work could be done.
Okay.
The concern, I think, and where there's an issue is they did the work for us initially, and now things are breaking. Who's responsible to do the repairs? What Jamie's doing and what the director's doing is we're making the repairs as they're needed.
Correct.
In the contract, going to, I think what the commissioner's kind of asking about is, should we be notifying them or working with them? And the contract does require us to notify Johnson Controls because all the changes we make affect the performance, which affects what we have to pay to them or the energy savings. This is all based on savings that we would experience based on the improvements. So there is a little bit of confusion with it, and I think it may be good that maybe we have a conversation about it, and there are things that maybe we
Let me ask you this. Is these questions that are being asked, are they at the administrative level?
Yes, we can do
So
that then.
that's what I'm saying.
But I
What
think
we're
it
try-
confuses when this comes up. though.
Understood, but what we're trying to vote on here is just contractually getting things forward in terms of repairing a situation that's in dire strait, correct?
I'm just trying to explain.
Understood. No, I know, but again, I don't want us to go away from the subject at hand, which the subject at hand is approving an emergency equipment
Right,
repair.
and I agree with that, but I think that there's this confusion that Johnson Controls, because they did do the work, should do the repairs. And there is the on the surface feeling or appearance that they should, but they don't, because there's not a warranty in the contract that we had applied, that when we did the work, we didn't get an extended warranty under them to do the work. So it gives the appearance that they should be doing it, and that's why there's confusion with it.
Understood, and I thank you for giving us that clarification. But again, I just want to stick to the narrative, which is approving this item for this emergency repair. I have confidence that staff will figure this out in terms of when the contract goes up.
Yeah, we need to really understand that
And how we
contract, yeah.
move up forward on it, so.
So, Commissioner, just to clarify, this is an after-the-fact agenda, so it's already been approved. Town Commissioner has approved.
Understood.
Okay.
Let's, are there any other questions for the agenda as written? Vice Mayor.
I do have a question. You said it has been approved already, so why is it on the agenda?
Because it's over my limit, and I
Over
approved
the
it as
procure-
an emergency item.
yeah.
Right, the
So
10,000.
we didn't,
the
and
10,000
so we do that after the fact so that there's a level of transparency
And
and meeting the procurement code.
And I get that, and that's pretty much, I mean, that's the way the policy is, that's the way the charter is,
Correct.
that's what we follow.
Correct.
In doing that. And I think that's, again, I'm going to say this again, I think that's one of our biggest issues here with, that $10,000 limit.
Correct.
We can disagree on it. I deal with Carrier every single day. I can go to my portal right now, put a work order in.
It's probably 10,000 to call them.
No, they're at the school. But because we have to go through this whole process, we put ourselves in a bad shot.
And I think that could be a discussion we could have along with this budget process that we're going to be discussing on.
And we will be bringing you a revised procurement code, absolutely, so we'll have that conversation then as well.
Okay, so any other questions again for the subject at hand? I hear none. I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
The motion passes 4-1. Okay, next we have number 5 that was pulled from consent agenda, emergency equipment repair for PBSO building AC system with Nova Air Conditioning, Inc. for $6,597.02. Vice Mayor, you pulled this agenda item out. You may begin.
Jamie, why are we using Johnson? I'm just joking. I wanted to apologize to the Sheriff Department. I know how hot it is. I know you guys been out for air for like 30 days. So I want to apologize to you guys, all you guys. I know all you guys, and we hope you guys can cool off a little better. That's our fault. You guys protect us. We didn't
Absolutely.
protect you guys.
Absolutely.
Just want to mention that even though one of their system was not functioning, we did provide our team equipped PVSO with penguins, so we have a few. I know it was a little bit uncomfortable, but we try to work as best as we could to be able to remediate the situation. So.
Okay. Just, they're important and essential in our community. So
No, absolutely.
we
Did
need
you
to
say
make sure.
penguins?
Yeah, we got portable. Yeah, we call them.
Okay, I was going to say, did you go to the Arctic and bring them here?
Portable ACs.
All right. Any other questions? I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve items 5 on the agenda.
Second.
We have first and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
The motion passes 4-1. Next, we have item number 6, Resolution 560726, a special category grant amendment for a 6-month time extension from December 31st, 2026 with the Florida Department of State for the Division of Historical Resources on the Evergreen House Preservation Improvements Project. Commissioner Linden, you pulled this item out. You may begin.
Thank you. This item's going on 6 months, over 6 months, and this whole project with the Evergreen House and getting it done, answers have not been coming back. We've been not limited to no contact with LJ or Rick. My participation with the Historic Society when I got elected changed, so I advise them. I don't do anything else with them. So the problem that I had, I couldn't. Who decided that the Evergreen House needed repairs?
What you mean, who decided?
Who decided?
We did an assessment to the building and we presented to the town commission the required improvements to the facilities, and the commission approved, and we went for a grant.
All right, so someone requested an assessment and that was you?
No, Commissioner, I was not here at the time, but when I started, they were already assessing the building. They started the assessment of the project, and they were working with obtaining the grant.
All right, that's fair enough, because this original proposal's a couple of years old. All right, so based on that proposal, we got a grant, $198,000, $500 for the grant, and they were matching funds. Did you write the grant?
Probably this could help you, Commissioner. I'm just going to hand everybody one, and it summarizes the project, the budget,
Thank you.
the time frame. Thank you. And that could probably be helpful for you.
Thank you.
And that can answer probably your questions.
When was this first given to anyone?
I just developed that before I came here
Okay.
to be helpful for you to have it or articulate the information better.
Well, it's helpful, without a doubt. All right? And it kind of lays it out. But we also got some issues here. When they were given limited time to pull out of the Evergreen House, we had to find a location for the town and the historic properties that were in there. We found one. We negotiated that 6 months ago. The movers came in. They wrapped everything, took it out, put it in storage, and so forth. The price was $500 a month. And they have yet to be paid a single penny. And on the invoice, when I checked today, they were supposed to be paid in April of this year.
So, Commissioner, I have an email where they confirmed receiving a check for the $6,000 that we established a contract.
You have an email?
I have an email confirmation from the company where they acknowledge.
Jamie, if you could just, thank you, please. Just explain it more in a better tone, please.
There is an email, Commissioner, acknowledging the check received by the company for the $6,000. So I don't know where you're getting that information, or I would like to confirm the validity of that information. But I have even the finance director here, and she could confirm that we did pay that, that vendor.
I spoke to the company directly at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I was partially instrumental in getting them to bid this, because they do other work in and around town for different nonprofit organizations. So I don't know where the disconnect is, but they were, I asked for, did we ask for an extension? And because we're running out of the 6 months. And they said no, but they granted us one if we won it today. So we'll get to the bottom of this, is why they're not getting paid. That doesn't look bad. It'll look good on any one of us. All right? If we do, what?
Hold on.
off the topic, but I wrote it down, so.
Go ahead, Commissioner Linden, please finish.
So now we're out of the building, we're housed in the library, and the hours of being able to contact the historic department goes to 1 day a week, and from used to be 10 to 1, now it's 11 to 1. So as a result of that, and being closed, every sunset celebration, we would get 10, 15, 20 people in there. And they loved it, and we loved showing off the town. Since we're out of there, we don't have that opportunity anymore. I bring that up because there was never a discussion on who was going to pay for what on this project. We were all under the impression that we had a matching grant that would cover everything. Now there's a deficit there. The grant is not going to match it. And I pulled the records, or had LJ pull the records for me, and total monies that the Lake Park Historic Society has is $1,400, of which we've got some expenditures we got to pay there. So they do not have any money, period, none. Now, we do have a $250 grant, not a grant, $250 line item in the budget for them, but that doesn't always help a lot. I bring this up because as we move forward, if we're no longer in there, I think it's terrible for the town, because you'd have to be there to understand the number of people that come in there during sunset celebration. And there was since they've been working down out of the library, Friends of the Library needed to apply for a grant for 250th anniversary. And they could not get the grant. It never went through. So LJ, out of his own pocket, guaranteed the grant, or guaranteed the money, because it was a lot about the 250th anniversary. Why get into all that? Well, I found out today that they didn't use the money, or use all the money. So I wanted to make sure, to find out where that additional money went and where it's going. And I'm not thrilled, neither is LJ, to put that money back into, his own money, back into the Historic Society to pay for anything that we were assumed wasn't going to cost us anything. So I'm looking for a timeline. How much of a difference is it on what's going to be owed after the grant? Thank you for getting a 6-month extension on that grant. We appreciate that. So I want to give credit where credit's due. What's the dollar difference between what we're going to owe from the, because we just got the proposal last week, and the money we're getting from the grant?
So just for purpose of clarification, what difference are you referring to? Because
Mr.
there's...
Mayor, if I could jump in, let me,
Sure.
Mr. Morales, let me, if I could maybe, first, I think on behalf of the staff, we apologize to historic folks. There have been some delays, and so as a manager, I take responsibility, Commissioner, that the project's not to where the historic preservation folks have been able to go back to the Evergreen House. So I apologize for that on behalf of me. Since we've gone out, since the historic preservation staff has moved over to the library, we've now gone out for construction bids and construction pricing. What this document, and this is the first I've seen of it, but Jamie, this number I think is what he's talking about. So right now, outside of, there was about $400,000 total for the project. and it looks like the construction number is going to be about $145,000 more than what we had planned for between our portion and the grant. So that's something that we'll need to find out where those dollars are going to be coming from. So at this point, it's helpful that we have the extension. We'll have to figure that out, where those other dollars are going to come from. I think we need to work with Merrill, see if Merrill can find some additional historic preservation dollars, maybe make some phone calls. Maybe there's some FERDAP or some land and water dollars that are available, but we'll see what we can do and we'll get back with you guys. And it's unfortunate that that's where we're at, but again, I apologize on behalf of...
Is the difference simply because of the timeline of us having to get the project going? Is that the reason why?
I don't know if it's just more the construction cost itself.
So after we came to commission and we presented the design,
Yes.
commission agreed with the design, we posted invitation to bid for construction. The bids that came in to perform the construction were 3 companies. 1 wasn't completed, 2 are there. The bidding cost, the construction bidding cost for both companies came higher than the amount that we have budgeted for the project.
And we normally get those numbers from the engineering firm. They normally give what's called an estimated
Planning
engineering costs or cost of construction.
All right,
So
let
sometimes-
me let him finish real quick.
So after we evaluated the project and the bids came higher, we spoke with town manager and Barbara, and we said the bids came higher. So we have some options, whether we can phase out the project. We could do either the external component of the building, and then with the remaining funds, do whatever we can go out for another grant and follow up with another phase of the project to complete it. Or today we were talking, John and I said, John mentioned, why don't we change the strategy and probably finish the interior with the grant and with the monies that we have available. Whatever remaining, we could do the outside, whatever we could do, maybe the ADA compliance, and then they could move in, they could utilize the facilities, and we could go for another grant, look for another grant to complete the exterior of the building.
Okay, so the grant itself, which was a matching grant, that was you said 400?
No, 198.
198 matching between.
Yes, 198.5.
400.
Right. So that number was already preset.
Yes.
Prior to the
bidding.
To the bidding.
Yes, it's always like that.
The fact that the bidding came higher, that was beyond the control of us.
No, we don't control the market. We don't control.
Right. That was beyond the control of us to
correct.
keep it within the window of what our allocated funds were for.
That's correct.
So clarity is given there, correct?
Yes. Or we could reduce the
And
scope
normally
of
when you
the
do your
project.
engineering, that's when I was saying that the engineer will determine what those costs are based on. But again, markets change, prices change, and it really depends on who bids. This was all solicited through competitive bidding.
So it sounds like the explanation is given, simply put, the bidding was high or exceeded the cost of what we had funding to do the project itself.
That's right.
Okay, so with that, there's a 6-month extension on the table.
That's correct.
That's what we're talking about. Is there any questions towards any problems with the 6-month extension? Okay, I don't hear any questions, so can I entertain a motion?
No, I have some questions I want to
Okay,
ask.
thank you.
I'm
That's
sorry.
why I had just asked if there was any questions.
But you limited it to the
No,
questions as to the 6 months.
I understand that, but if you have a question, but I'd like to stick to the narrative. That's my only thing.
Understood.
Okay?
The first question I have is...
Commissioner O'Rourke, as I recognize you, sir. I apologize.
No problem.
Okay.
On the second to last paragraph of the agenda item, request form, it says, if approved, the town will immediately identify potential additional funding sources. Why are we not looking at them right now? Why are we waiting? It's going to cause another delay. Do you have an answer to that, Jamie?
Yes, because the historical would not allow us to apply for another grant until we finish this grant. So we have to close this one in order to ask them to give us another for that project, particular project. That's
Have
why.
you thought of, have you considered doing, and I know you kind of alluded to that, doing interior improvements and then exterior improvements as 2 different
Yes, that's why we phased it out in the bids. So we could do, if you look at number 3, it tells you that it phases it out, phase 1 and phase 2. But now we're proposing to do phase 2 instead of phase 1 first so that they can occupy the facility and then we can move to phase 1.
Thank you. The last question I have is the number 145, the shortfall. That's a lot of money. How did our engineer miss it by that much?
Market conditions, Commissioner.
Okay, no further questions.
Any other questions towards the agenda item? Commissioner Thomas. Make sure your mic, okay, your mic's on.
Thank you. My concern is the 145, if the 6 months is going to increase that. I mean, and that is, that's a valid question of, asking, because we do know the costs, and those costs certainly cannot be controlled by us that's here on the dais.
Correct.
And so, and I do recall you coming to us and stating the phases, whether we were going to be doing, we were going to be doing the exterior and, of course, the interior. So, of course, now I'm concerned if, in fact, the 6 months is going to be able to cover this 145 shortfall, or are we also planning for an additional contingency in regards to this?
Okay, so the 6 months is an extension to the current grant. So that's the 198.5 and the 190, the town match, right? So we have $400,000. We're going to try to do as much work as we can we're going to complete phase 2, and then move to phase 1. Whatever we have within the matching funds, whether in the grant and the matching funds, we're going to use them all in everything we could do. We've completed that mark. We have to hopefully we make the 6 months mark, and actually I want it to be before, but we have the 6 months. We close that grant, and then we apply for another one to complete the exterior work.
And that's the 145 that's still out there?
Well, the 145 is that we do it everything right now.
Okay.
So if we choose the lowest bidder and we want to do both phases today and try to meet on the 6 months, that's the gap that we have to meet.
Okay, and that is just to complete the entire project?
The entire project, both phases.
Okay, so if we do those 6 months, that 6 months would be either phase 1 exterior or phase 2 interior?
Yeah, because we have to meet the grant performance. What the grant says, I gave you $198.50, and I want you to use it within the 6 months.
Month period?
Yes.
Okay, in order for us to meet the requirement for the grant?
For the grant.
Okay, so in essence, we need to expedite and get this done within the 6 month period?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I think Vice Mayor has some questions, but since he's getting clarification, do you have another?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Sorry, I just want to make it known that we are 145,000 that we have to make up in grants, because like I was saying, we cannot put this on the residents in taxes or any extra from the 6 months or any of that stuff, because this is something we did ourselves.
So we've done, so the way that we worked on repairing Town Hall was the similar situation. Our bids came higher. We did one portion, we phased it out, and then to complete the project, we went again. We submitted for another portion of the grant. We got awarded the other grant, and we completed the work. So we're trying to do the same methodology that we used and trying to use grant money, but we can't, in terms of this particular grantor, we can't apply for a new grant until we finish this one. So we have to close. Even the emergency that we were doing here on Town Hall on the back, we have not moved to the construction component of it because we have to close this project.
And I do understand, what scares me, because I hear you say we're going to apply for a grant, then you say but I just want to make sure we don't put this on the back end of the residents.
So again, commissioners, I don't want to mislead you. We apply for grants, but I can't control if they were awarded. So it's very important that you guys understand that I cannot commit. I cannot put my name, or I can't put the town's name and say, I guarantee we're going to get the grant, because we apply. If the grantor awards us the grant, then by all means, we always expect it. But
And that's what I'm getting to. Like how do we pay for it if we don't get the grant?
Well, I think phase, right, that's kind of where I was going at. No, you're actually in the right context. If we reach a point where we've exceeded our grant dollars and now we have an excess, let's just use that number, for example, that 145, obviously it's past the $10,000 threshold. That's something you would come to us about to see if we could get funding. And based on the climate of how you're feeling at this point, we wouldn't put that burden on the taxpayers' dollars to do that, which in turn would lead to, and again, I'm doing it in terms of if it came to our plate, you wouldn't get the support for it. So at that point, it would have to cease.
Mr. Mayor, right now, if we can approve the 6 months, that would be fantastic. It'll give us the time to then come back to you guys.
I agree. That would be wonderful because that is the topic of discussion.
And then we'll come back to you guys. And it is unfortunate that we're in the position financially we are, but we will come back. We'll scour all grants. We hear that this is not to be funded with taxpayer dollars. It seems like that's the direction.
Yep.
And we'll come back and provide something during the budget process on how we're going to go forward with it.
And I'm glad the clarity is there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No. Please go ahead. Go ahead, Commissioner O'Rourke.
Jamie, if we're looking at 2 phases, I would suggest that if we're looking at trying to do interior phase 2 first, that you add in there the ADA requirements.
Yeah, that's what
because that would help you for the granting.
That's our projected. That's why I said that John and I were talking today, and we said that maybe the best strategy would be to complete the interior so they could occupy the facilities and then work with the ADA compliance, that component of the exterior part, so that way we can include it in the initial phase of the project. So, yes.
Okay. All good? Vice Mayor? All good? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution blank 2026.
No. What was that number again?
Read it the way it is. It's blank.
Okay.
Resolution 560726.
It's blank on my screen. 5607.
Okay.
Look, 26.
Yep.
Thank you.
You second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
We're not doing questions to staff. We're talking amongst each other just for
I
clarification.
have a discussion.
Sure.
How are we going to change the reporting so this doesn't happen again?
I will work with staff and we will develop an opportunity, whether it's in the weekly report or a separate document that is that we provide to you. We're required as part of the grant, I believe, to do, is it a monthly report, Mayor? Is it monthly? We would even be happy to share that with you so you're updated as well, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. And then I would also be cautious on how we take approaches. I understand, Commissioner Linden, you made a phone call today on behalf of, I guess, yourself, but it may be perceived as a staff function, which we are here as policymakers. We just had somebody make make a comment, please, make a comment about us in our roles, and I don't want there to be a misperception of how we conduct ourselves as electeds. So I'm just saying that as a caution, not as an accusation or anything like that. I understand what you're doing. You're doing your research as you normally do. I'm just looking to protect us in a sense of not having that kind of perception out there, since we just had a public comment made about us being directed outside of chain of command.
I understand, and I take that as a completely disrespectful statement. I am not the only one.
No. Again,
no, hear me out.
Sure.
Hear me out. You called me out.
No, not really. I was just trying to protect us.
I called the company to find out, research where we're at. I did not call anyone in town hall.
No, I understand that.
And I will not do that because that violates a number of different things in the charter. All right? So if I had to do it again, I don't see anything wrong with reaching out to the company that originally was involved to get the details to bring it here. All right? So,
Understood. And again, my approach in this was not to, as you stated, call you out by any means. It's just simply to protect our roles in what we do as electeds, and that's simply all it is. If you feel that way, that was not my intention. Again, you're my colleague, so I care in terms of how you move, no different than you would if you were looking at me and how I move, and that's all it is. So.
all right, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. With that, Vice Mayor? Oh, thank you. Okay.
Any further
Any further
comments?
comments?
No.
No? All right, let's take a vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? I love you guys. All right, moving forward. Nothing on public hearing for ordinance on first reading, nothing on public hearing for ordinance on second reading. Under new business, we have item number 7, where we establish a tentative FY 2026 to 2027 millage rate operating and restate the date, time, and location of the first and second and final millage rate and budget public hearings. That was quite a bit. Again, this is setting the millage rate where it's the top end. It won't go no higher than that. However, if we wish to lower the millage rate as proposed, we have the ability to do so. But again, we are setting the highest millage rate it can be. Town Manager, you have anything to add to that?
Just, no, that's exactly, this is, there's new laws that are out there, but this, what you're doing today does not affect that part of new state statute. That will be part of the first and second reading on final millage setting. Ms. Gould is here to talk about some of where we are real quickly and very quickly.
Very quickly. So you'll notice in your agenda item, good evening, Barbara Gould, Finance Director. You'll notice in your agenda item that we went and put some history on millage rates because that was a comment that had been made several meetings ago about the size of our millage rate. So at this point, we are working on our budget process using that 5.1 mils, and we'll be working straight through to the first tentative budget hearing in incorporating whatever we can, new knowledge from the state when they release some predictions about the numbers that are available for our state funds. And as we get updated from anybody else, we're popping numbers in there daily.
No, go ahead.
And so, Mr. Mayor, what we did was, what Ms. Gould did actually is provide you with a history of where we are with our operating millage. We were at a high of 8.3 back in 2005, and we've been at 5.10 for the last 2 years.
Okay.
So we're proposing to stay at that same number for fiscal year 2027. So again, no change in our rate that we would charge. We are proposing to hold our first reading on Thursday, September 8th, 2026, and our second and final reading of the millage on Wednesday, September 16th. Both meetings would be at 6:30 p.m. here in Town Commission Chambers in Town of Lake Park Town Hall. Excuse me. This does not affect in any way what's happening with the super exemption. That's down the line. This is just for this upcoming fiscal year. And we're building our budget on those numbers. Nothing higher at all. That's why we're recommending that.
And I want to thank you for providing that history of the operating millage, because I know several weeks ago there was a statement made that we were the highest millage in the county, and I didn't know exactly where
And to keep raising.
the comment was, where the information came from to make the comment, but this gives an exact timeline, and I know because we collect the millage from every city as the property appraiser, and I know at that 2013 time, that was probably the highest this town has ever been to date. Commissioner O'Rourke?
Yes, thank you. I want to address that. And I see Ms. LaFontaine in the audience, and I want to address you. you, in a very respectful way, last commission meeting, I wasn't here, but I did go back to look at it. You presented a graph that showed that we were not one of the highest rates. However, this scale and graph that you prepared, Barbara, shows what's going on. We go from 8.8. Now, in 2015, it goes down to 5.3474. I was here. I know what was going on at that time. What happened is we didn't lower anything. We entered into an MSTU with our fire rescue program. And so those numbers are still there. They're just paid to the county and not to us. However, if you were to look, and then this is where I was trying to suggest to you, Ms. LaFontaine, if you were to go, and I did this exercise today, unfortunately, I left that at my job. Not that I was working on something else on my job, but I looked at it, and there are several, there's about 10 communities that don't use the MSTU system, and those look like they're ahead of us, but they're not because they have their own fire rescue. And that's where I'm saying, so it's misleading to say that we're at that number. We're still pretty high, and we have to move as a community, in my view, we have to move as a community to figure out how we're going to lower these tax rates, because we are. What happens in smaller communities, and if you looked at the scale that you presented, if you look at that scale, many of the smaller communities have this issue that we don't have the tax base that allows us the grace to be able to lower our taxes, because we have limited number of people. We're a small town. We have limited properties. As Dorothy Jack says today, though, our property's at $2 billion, so we're doing pretty good as far as the property values are. But we have to figure out a way to try to get money back to our residents. And I'm going to leave it at that. I have suggestions that have been commented on tonight, but there are ways to do that. And I just wanted to point that out, that in the scale that you use, that's because it's really an adjustment from the MSTU.
And I did note that in a footnote after it. I went back looking for the MSTU.
I just wanted everybody to be aware.
The MSTU rate, because I couldn't find where it was broken down in anything that I had. I found a couple of years worth. So we were still, in 2012, we were 5.0419, 2013, 5.3474, 2014, 5.3474. So we were there for 5.374 for quite a while, but I couldn't find anything further back.
So we're still
lower?
lower?
We did. I mean, through the years, we did lower the rate. I mean, there's no question about that. That's been our goal ever since we've talked about this. So, and we're still trying to do that. So,
and we'll be trying for as long as we're here.
Absolutely. All set, Commissioner?
That's it.
And thank you for that touch on history on that. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Vice Mayor, you have a question?
No, I just thank you for
You're
keeping
all
it
set?
low.
All right, so I stated the proposed millage is 5.1. It hasn't changed from last year. That is the highest millage, and we're all clear on that.
Yep.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
So we'll make a motion to adopt the millage of 5.1.
Tentative.
Tentative.
I'll make a
cap
motion to adopt the 5.1 tentative.
To tentatively cap it at 5.1.
And once we do that, then we'll notify, of course, the property appraiser. The property appraiser
Correct.
will then send out the tentative millage rate notices, and
They've
you'll get all that information.
They've already asked me if we had this meeting yet, and I indicated to them that it is indeed
And we're
tonight.
actually early. Other cities are well after us. So-
Yes.
so-
Okay, so again, for the record, can you please repeat your motion based on that?
All right. I established the tentative 2026-2027 millage rate operation and restate the date, time, and location of the first and second final millage rate and budget public hearing
At 5 point,
at 5.1.
okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Actually, I have one, and it's just related to the date and time and location. Are you looking for us to establish that today?
That's part of your motion.
Can we do that as a separate motion?
Okay,
And those are the dates we really have to do it, because we can't have it on the date of the school board meeting
okay.
or of the county commission meeting.
And again, just for me, it's just clarifying
Yeah.
the order of
Can we-
process.
I'm going to ask if we can do that as a separate motion,
Yes.
because we've already made the motion.
Okay, so the motion right now is just strictly to have a tentative millage rate as 5.1 mils.
Yeah, I don't think it, I don't think.
Correct.
We normally try to do it all at the same, in the same motion, but however you want to do it, it works either way.
Okay,
We have a first and second.
we have first and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
I have another motion.
Okay,
Where is it?
I don't think it's there. You want me to write it down, September 8th and
No,
September 16th?
it's right here. I would move to set the date, time, and location of the first millage rate budget public hearing as Tuesday, September 8th of this year at 6:30. And the second final millage rate at the budget public hearing on Wednesday, September 16th of this year.
okay. We have a motion. Do we,
Both at 6:30.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, so we have a tentative millage set, as well as our dates for budget public hearings. All right, next we have, you're welcome. Next we have finally our town commission priorities for the FY 2027 budget. As you know, it was staff's recommendation for us to provide them sort of our initiatives for what we would like to see in upcoming budget. Thank you to staff for providing us this list.
Thank
for
you
us
for
to
sending us
no
information as
problem.
well.
And I understand that you're looking for us to rank of importance of a 1 as a low and a 5 as a high.
Yes.
Okay, are you?
Can,
Sure, go ahead.
and I know that not, it's.
Make sure your
takes
mic's
some-
on.
I know it takes some time to go through this.
Yes.
And if it's easier to maybe just talk about it real quick and then let us know what your rankings are, then we can do that and then kind of incorporate that into the budget. Or
Are you looking for this to be ranked tonight?
That was the
Because
plan.
I think,
That was our hope, but,
I think this would take quite some time for us to
All
look
this?
over.
and that's why maybe,
No, I would like to, if we could move that to another agenda item in a future meeting and give us time to look this over and propose our own ranking system of what our importance is. That way we can submit it separately and then we can bring it back
that would
together.
be perfect.
Sure, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
I agree with exactly what the mayor said, but if we can, because I was reading some of this, and I don't even know what I can't even rank half of it because I don't know some of it is. So if we can kind of go down really quickly, if you can give us a quick version
We can do that.
of,
Yes, please.
of
Absolutely.
yeah, of what is what.
And that gives us the opportunity to write down as well. Commissioner Thomas, you have something to add?
Yeah, because I actually submitted mine already, and what I was hoping was the areas, and you will notice on mine where I have questions, we would come back and address, because I just figured that it was going to take, a long time. So you could either give me back my ranking, because I did have questions. No, I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were issues that I had some questions on, and the town manager had sent out a request to try and provide it to us. So I did that with the intent that we would have another meeting to that streamlined what the rankings were.
And if we can, just not to.
So that is what I did. I went and I ranked and provided it to Barbara.
Sure. And just not to belabor this, let's set it for the very next meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay, because I don't want us to have two meetings down. We have a
No,
lot of.
and we need to incorporate it into the budget.
Correct, that's
yeah.
where I'm coming from. We need to have our rankings set, so that way you guys can do what you have to do in terms of the budget,
Yeah.
looking at it to see what's feasible and what's not, based on what we collectively give you. And then that way, because we also have one-on-ones we'd like to do as well with you.
Yes,
And
sir.
I know that's all inclusive in the process, so we want to make sure that everything in the process is met.
So real quickly to go
Quickly.
through these, you know, and these were some that were provided by the commission up front. The second part are items that were removed or included in your budget from either last year or this year. So the first is allocate funds to reestablish a human resource director, CRA board members, raise, we're looking, just so you're aware, we're looking at the direction from you all last year to raise your salaries. So that will probably be a combination of CRA dollars and general fund dollars. So that's something we were already incorporating into the budget. Reducing travel and conferences. I will say that that's something that I think is important for us to really focus on and try to maintain, because I think to maintain a professional organization, I think we need to encourage our staff to be able to go to conferences and build an understanding of what's happening in their fields, and then also to network and build relationships. Water and snacks at commission meetings. We do provide water, and thanks to Barbara, we've been doing it, but I know Barbara can't continue to do that, so we're looking at incorporating that in. Some job description and pay structures. One of the things that we're looking at is doing a salary survey, and I know I've spoken to a couple of y'all about this. We're looking at putting it into next year's budget, but that will not allow us then to make any changes to salaries before the budget starts. So what we'd like to do is get direction from you all, and we can bring it back at a later date to do a salary study within this year's budget so that we can affect salaries in next year's proposed budget. So that's something that we'd like to be able to do. No raises or added perks with employees making over a certain dollar amount. Review and adjust days off. Reduce public works personnel and events, at events. Review public works job descriptions. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
I didn't understand, and that was one of the questions that I had, was what do we mean by reduce public works personnel at events? I mean, I think in my...
These are ones that came from a commissioner.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to try and get it ranked. And if there's confusion, we can get back with that commissioner and ask them maybe to...
What that means, yeah, because...
To maybe expand it a little
Yeah,
bit.
because I'm just thinking that it's probably, you know, I see them mostly at our sunset celebrations and things of that nature. So if that could be some clarification, that'd be
We'll
great.
absolutely do that.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
I know this ain't come from you, it's came from one of us up here, but I don't understand reviewing just days off.
We'll ask that.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh, I think it probably when we make adjustments, like for instance, if I'm going 4th of July, we
Like we did just
added the
some.
Monday.
Oh, okay.
I think I can understand the language of the person that spoke to this.
I got it.
So that's just my opinion.
And then a lot of these will also be, you know, in the salary study, so we'll be looking at that. But internal review of salaries, public work salaries, starting salaries to a minimum of $24 per hour, as you all approved recently. For the sanitation drivers, we brought those up to $25 an hour for anyone who wasn't making that amount or any new hires. Creating a first-time homeowner and home improvement grant. We have a program that we do something similar. There are other communities. Can you pass that down?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
So we have a program that Nadia's been working on, and I appreciate that. Also, you heard today that the CDBG program through the county offers opportunities. Townwide grant program for homeowners, that's a similar program. small business facade grants, business recruitment incentives, program to make sure houses have lighted numbers. Those are things that we can change the code on. Plaza parking lot repairs, those are code issues. Home beautification projects, paint your heart out. Infrastructure assessment, those are things I think that we're going to have to look at if the super exemption comes in. I think that's something that will definitely have to be talked about. Charging stations for EVs for both public and staff. Lighting at Blakely Park. Downtown beautification. Of course, we have a new landscape company who's done, looks like they've done a really good job. And
Manager? I'm Scott. Question. You went a little quick for me.
Oh, sorry.
The charging station,
Yes.
you know?
Do we even have any EVs?
Well, it's, you and I had kind of spoken about that, right? And the infrastructure costs for it, so that when we talk about making available, that, it's just not we also are talking about vehicles and the infrastructure and where it would go.
Yeah.
So I just need some clarification. Yeah, there's an awful lot of cost that's associated with it, so I would really like to get some clarification on that, too.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was one of my items. I stand on business, but listen, no, that was one of my items,
and where you don't say the
and that what came from FPNL at a conference will be good for the downtown area, and they will help fund that if we get in touch with them. But that's just to give more clarification on that.
That actually also came from me as well. Reason being why I
This
asked-
whole idea of keeping it secret is
No, it's
going
okay.
out the window.
It's okay.
It's
It's
no
okay.
problem. We don't have to keep it.
I'd like to give an explanation, though. It's simply because I know my office where I work at, the county, offers that for staff as well as public. I also went to Riviera Beach on some of their events and meetings, and I know Riviera Beach offers that as well. So it's just an out-of-the-box thought.
There are maps that
Right.
tell people where to do that.
Correct.
And bring people
Correct.
downtown.
Correct.
So again, lighting at Blakely Park, downtown beautification, CR expansion
right.
ideas, street lights and lamp posts. That will be something, I know Public Works is working with FPL on their 2 phases, so we'll,
We also have that already. That's already so I was just kind of
wondering the
redundancy of that, because we
That's- have that
already there.
so some of this is just, where is it at kind of thing, I think
Yeah.
some of that.
Again,
Yes,
And the light poles.
The speed,
Talked about it.
speed bumps, you guys approved a policy on that. Park Avenue makeover, parking decals and all on-street parking. We talked about that a little bit, or we had an item that I think we were going to bring back. Tree survey for all trees planted in the swales. I believe our tree board has advocated for a grant that we're working on to do that. Adopt the PUDD study. Of course, we know where that stands with regards to anything more restrictive with Senate Bill 180. Local cross promotion with
What's that?
paper placemats. This is where I think you know where you go to restaurants and they have mats and they have around the outside they have. Okay, well, I'm just saying they have them, so I'm just trying to help
All right.
someone out.
Go ahead, back on the list,
Thank
please.
you. Revise the
They used to do that
newsletter.
in Barbie's, okay.
There was a lot of discussion at the
Yeah, I'm trying to get it.
mornings with the mayor on the newsletter. I think Merrill's working to do something in September based on the comments that were received, and I think that was really positive. I think the community gave some great insight into that. Revise the website. We have funding in to fund our new website or get an update of our website. Establish event exclusivity in PADD. Really, that's more CRA, events. I could tell you we're proposing at least 3 new events in our downtown. Reuniti and special events and CRA are working together to help propose funding for that. One would be a farmer's market. One would be movie nights. And the third would be like a downtown concert series or something like that. So we can do something like that, and then hopefully it would be a spillover. We're also going to continue working with the Rust Market and do some other things. A movie night, next one. Additional lighting at pickleball courts. That may be a grant issue. field trips for children and adults. We had talked about that. That was a recommendation by the commission before this. We are putting that in the budget. And we're looking at local trips, not to Orlando or anything. It's just more of like a local trip. That's what we understood that to be. Free family events, of course, events that bring people to the marina, senior wellness and social programs, youth leadership programs. This could also be a youth council type program that I know that, I'm sorry if I'm jumping in.
No, you're hitting it right. I had that conversation with you about possibility of a youth council.
And I think that's something that I think would be productive for us to do. Return some of our summer programming, community engagement initiatives. These are just more broader kinds of ideas. I don't know if you want us to get, I mean, I think you kind of know, and some of those will be hard for us to fund, I'll tell you now. Commissioner Community Support Fund, I will tell you we have included this in. Was it $1,500 each or 15
Per commissioner.
So we did do that so that you can provide support to different programs and groups in our community. We'll set a policy for that if you do approve it, so that there's an understanding of how that money can be used, similar to like a procurement type of thing, and make sure that.
If I can interrupt you on that budget item, that's a budget item that gave Riviera Beach a lot of problems. I just want to tell you that. Where you gave separate accounts to each commissioner, not, I'm just speaking out loud.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
It may be
That's something maybe we need to.
thinking that we might want to relook
That's
at.
something maybe we could look more in depth to and also with the process
We can
involved.
we can talk to the IG, we can see what's
Yes.
going on, look at that. Monthly adult activity, I think this was really tied to the bingo night. I think that really was a hit, and I think there were some ideas, can we do more of that? I think a citizen actually came up to the dais and talked about it at one point as
Yeah.
well. Kids activities, maybe some fishing programs, soccer, just, what can we do to engage our kids and do some of that? Adult activities, walking, different things. There are senior clubs that other cities do. I know Green Acres, Palm Springs does that. So maybe we can look at that if that's something you're interested in. The knitting club. And I think we have someone who knows how to do that and can take. It's her birthday today, by the way. Community sports and field trips, town hall or town cleanups. This is something that I've asked Public Works. We appreciate that that's been, community volunteer driven, but I think it's something that I think may be better if we start to drive that and be able to take control of that. Not because it hasn't been run well in any way, it's just, I think it just gives the appearance that it's a town event. So we'll look at that. I don't know if it's 2, it may be 1, but that's what was suggested. Movies on the lawn, again, that's in the downtown area. Pajama party at the library. You see that a lot. There are lock-ins and different things like that where the parents have a night out, really, and the kids. Leanna actually did this in
Kind
Palm
of thing you running
Springs.
here.
She actually did it where we did a movie night and we did camping on the field. Yeah, you see that. You got to let people leave when they. I jumped the fence that night. Haitian Flag Day, again, continuing that. Allocate funds for recreation programs. We've talked about. So there again, these were individuals that there were duplicates that, So, and then what's currently in the budget or has been in the budget, and we wanted just to see if you guys could look at those, is the MLK Parade in Riviera Beach, renting vehicles. I know that's, there's a cost to that, and the Mayor's Parade, renting a vehicle, Palm Beach Shore, St. Patrick's Day Parade, renting a vehicle. What we did this year, instead of renting a vehicle, was thank you to the Sheriff's Department, rode in a side-by-side, so it was kind of cool. It was a lot different, too. It was cool. So, and we thank the sheriffs for doing it. Town commission magnets, those, again, for things with vehicles. Holiday tree lighting, that's an incredible event. I hope that that is really supported, and we have that funded. The MLK celebration, we have that funded in the budget, and that's something that we were looking at being, I think, more of a kids event. I think that's the feedback that we're getting. And we were looking to maybe do that in the square, in the town green, so that we bring that to the, we did a movie night, as you remember. It was started in Kelsey Park, then the movies didn't work, and so it ended up being a movie night. And red, white, and blue sunset celebration, I would imagine that's all fives. The feedback that we got this year was just really, really, really incredible. And just not only Reuniti, but our public works staff and everyone involved. And I just really appreciate all the help on that sunset celebration. Those are great. Easter egg hunts, that's fantastic. Veterans Day parade, if you guys want to do something like that. Senior bus trips, the Jet Set Youth Soccer Camp, Haitian Flag Day celebration. Both of those are funded, I believe, in this year's budget that we're proposing. There's been talk about providing light towers for the caroling event with Lake Park Elementary. Arbor Day, which we do, and we do. That's really, really a nice event. Again, all of our staff, Public Works, Reuniti, Lamar, taking the pictures. Everyone does a really great job. Our Memorial Day event with the VFW.
If I can
really
interrupt,
I'm
going to suggest that we do we change the plaque down there.
I think we're working on that already, sir. Yes, sir. Florida City Government Week. That's really an important part of how we train and teach our younger ones about what we do and what government is. Great American Cleanup, that's going back to the cleanup events and working with Palm Beach County, keep Palm Beach County beautiful. Holiday decorating contest, we are funding that, and we have 6 awards for that, or 6 categories of awards. We do have funding for adult programs, senior programs, teen programs, youth programs. All of those are funded in our proposed budget, but we don't have anything defined for those dollars. So that goes to what you guys had provided earlier, and we'll try and incorporate that in. Doing a multicultural festival, continue doing that. And then a back-to-school extravaganza, which is coming up for us this year. I will say that there was some concern about the multicultural with regards to the state and the DEI initiative. We went back and looked. It doesn't look, it's more about funding a position or funding programs, that this is more of an event that celebrates our community.
Yeah.
We'll double check with, and have our attorney review it.
Please do.
But initially what we looked at, when we looked at it, this would not fall under that, that situation. So those are the items. Again, if you guys could maybe get it to us by maybe the beginning of next week, then we can incorporate it into the agenda and get it to you guys back, and we'll have a summary page of all of the items.
Thank you for that. And
There you go.
Thank you.
we all know our assignments, and we'll
I
move
knew
forward
you
with
were
it.
good at this.
Of course he did. You know where I am.
All right. Town attorney comments.
Just one comment, Mayor.
I didn't make a copy of it. but
We have some
whatever.
applications in-house that I've been assisting staff with. These are ongoing applications related to in the downtown and also the marina. I don't want to get into a situation where I'm not permitted to assist staff in that regard. So in these quasi-judicial hearings that I presume will happen not immediately, but eventually down the road, if I'm assisting staff, I can't then represent also the commission. So I'd like to bring back to you some recommendations on an attorney to represent the commission in that situation. with staff, we're navigating things like the Live Local Act and Senate Bill 180 and other things related to some of these applications. What I would say to you is that would be revenue neutral, because I would not, if you're retaining an attorney to sit here on the dais, I'm not going to also bill for my time while I'm in the meeting assisting staff. So,
And Tom, if I may, I believe that the developers normally provide the fees for consulting, for the review fees on those, I believe. So there may be some opportunity there as well.
well, I'm not asking developers to pay my fees, but I'm just saying
That might not work.
I want to make sure that the commission doesn't wind up in a situation where somebody raises a due process concern, because I've been on both sides of the fence. Meaning the staff fence and the commission fence.
I'm sorry.
So no action tonight. I'll bring something back
Correct.
to
You'll
you.
provide this information.
Yep.
Okay. All set? Thank you. Town Manager?
Mr. Mayor, the attorney and I have talked about that proposal, and I've talked about it with our staff, and there's definitely merit with some of these issues and the legal, potential legal side of things, to have our attorney, taking the lead on it. It makes sense to do that, and so we're, on the management side, we're supportive of that as well.
Okay.
And we'll provide support to Mr. Baird. We have a great team, and they're eager to support and do, make sure we have good development in our community.
Okay.
So, just a quick heads up, we are moving forward, and we'll be bringing back an item with regards to the marina pump outs system. I know that's taken a little bit, and I apologize on that. We've had to develop an agreement as part of the grant requirements. So that's something I appreciate Jason and the attorney working on. I know one of the items in our budget, and it's a bigger item, is our leasing arrangement with Enterprise Fleet Management. I've spoken with not only our Public Works Director, but our vehicle maintenance foreman, and what I'm asking them to do and is to do an analysis of where we are with that, what those costs are, and so that we can provide you guys with a better understanding of where we are. And I appreciate Paul, I know Jamie, I know Paul's probably going to take the lead. I don't want to jump around, but I appreciate you taking the lead on that and voicing, some opportunities for savings there as well. So that's important. So thank you. There are some bills that have been approved by the governor that I do want to talk about real quickly. One is House Bill 1329. There are requirements for us going forward beginning in January 2027, where we have to have a software that allows us to post our budget online for tentative budgets or draft budgets and approved budgets. So it's more than just what we've had to do. And I believe that it has to be a program that is searchable and all these, just makes it as transparent as possible. So in the budget, we'll be providing for those costs. This was something that we believe was lobbied for by, it's something that's important, but the cost of these softwares are getting outrageous. Fortunately, because Barbara went to a conference, we found out that Sarasota County built their own software, and now they're starting to market it. And so it's significantly lower than what some of the commercial products are. So we'll be looking at that, not for this budget cycle, but for future budget cycles, and hopefully it'll make things a lot easier. It also talks about impact fees and different things like that. Nadia is working with a team of our staff to update our mobility plan, which would then allow us to put those transportation costs on the backs of new development rather than on the backs of our current residents. and be able to do work within the county rights of way that maybe we haven't been able to do before, because we would potentially receive those dollars under our mobility fee. And then also different types of impact fees we're looking at to help support future costs and impacts that new development would provide. I've received a number of notices from our staff, and I think talking with y'all, you did as well, or some of y'all did. I hope all of y'all. But there was a lot of thank yous from our staff for the extra day on 4th of July. It really was appreciated, and I wanted to say thank you on behalf of our staff. It was really short notice, and you guys have done this a number of times.
This was a wonderful opportunity for you guys to petition with me, my boss, who was standing right there.
Should have had my report first. But I wanted to say thank you.
If I worked that way.
You guys don't, again, you don't have to do that. And it's something that you guys do. You recognize that our staff works hard, and it means a lot. So I wanted to say thank you for that. We also have Sunset Celebration coming up at the end of the month on July 31st. Great band, Andrew Morris Band. So just encourage the public to come out. Then finally, I did send some information out regarding the settlement that was proposed. So I just wanted to make sure that you all got that, and that's available to you all. If you have any questions, I know the attorney and I are available to try and help you in any way we can. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Commissioner comments. I'm going to start over here to my right. Everybody out there is left with Commissioner O'Rourke.
Peru is a wonderful country.
Peru is
It's a wonderful country.
You want to elaborate on that?
Okay. The food.
Uh-huh.
How about the alpacas?
The alpacas are nicer than llamas, I can tell you that. And llamas can spit more than alpacas. That's not very nice. Wow. I mention that because I missed the last meeting. I had just come back from the wedding. My son got married down in.
All right. Added more to
and so I'm very happy. It has by a whole nother family from Peru. It was really an incredible experience, and if you haven't been there, I would recommend that you go. And so that's what I have to say about Peru. Thank you for being indulgent of me. And I was back, but I was just not in any condition to serve that night. So I'm concerned about a couple of things with regard to the way we act as commissioners. Some of a commissioner tonight said that he was responsible for getting someone to bid on something. I don't want to belabor this, but this is not appropriate for commissioners to do that type of thing. I also want to comment on that there was a meeting on Saturday with the mayor, meet the mayor, and there was another commissioner there and apparently gave comments. That requires notice. And if there was no notice, we shouldn't be at those meetings. These are problems that we need to avoid. I don't go to meetings when they're individual commissioners or mayor. I don't go to them deliberately because I'm concerned about the ethical violations that could come about because of that. I've been accused of it many times. I'm one of the ones that's most, at least in my heart, I worry about those things, whether they're whether they're violations or not. I err to the side of safety. And I'm making these comments for all of us here, that we all understand that. Absolutely. Please be careful, because we're in a place right now, obviously there's people that get upset with us. We had people speak, and I'm going to comment on this. People speak and they present that their perspective is the way that everybody should behave, but yet they're the very things they're telling us that we shouldn't do, they're doing, which is fine. I mean, that's part of the process. But it's hard to get lectured by people who are doing exactly what they're telling us not to do. People that have differing views in them, just accept that the views are different. If we could have, it would be great if we could have, if I could have a town hall where none of you show up and I could speak to people so they can hear what I really think. Nobody knows, because I'm afraid to get in front of other commissioners, tell my views, and then have other commissioners commenting, because that's a sunshine law violation, because we are now discussing something that would be brought up for voting on the dais. So I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here. I'm just trying to get people to understand these are serious matters, and there's a lot of people, including a person that's brought a lawsuit to our town, who's in the chamber here right now. People are watching us. We have to be very careful how we act and certain times when we get together. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Commissioner Thomas.
Good afternoon. I don't want to belabor the night, but I do want to ask, I didn't see it in this, when are we going to have our back to school extravaganza? Because I think it's all, I think we go back to school August 10th.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You
Right?
Go back to
August 8th.
Okay. I know, I go back the 3rd, actually. But did we have it noticed? Did we have it noticed yet regarding the?
Yeah, it's been
There's a flyer. I actually saw it on LinkedIn.
Okay. I just didn't see it in the, normally we have it like here, so I was just curious about making sure that the public and also that we have it here. On our website?
On the website, social media.
And if they want to if you want an electric copy, because I know you have your own, so you can advertise on your own as well.
Yeah, I just wanted like to, thank you. Yeah, I wanted just to like to make sure of that. Because this is my time, I just wanted to like to say this. I concur with what you said, Commissioner O'Rourke, which is the reason why I do not attend any of the community engagement that either one of our commissioners directly promote. If it is an event that is done by the town and that it is published by our clerk's office, I attend it. Why? Because I do not want to be named in a lawsuit, and I have been in the public government for over 30 years. And so therefore, I really guard myself with that. I tend to make sure that if I'm going to engage, I do it within my community, and that's it. And I do not, and some people actually comment about you come to these workshops and you don't say anything, and that is not my time to say it. I think that we're on the dais, that is the time for us to make these comments. With that being said, I typically do not comment about things that are said about me or even online, but I will make this comment tonight. One, I've been here in this town for over 24 years. Over the time that I have been here, I have sat on the Planning and Zoning Board, and I'm so happy to have my colleagues here. But I want to say, and I see members of our Planning and Zoning Board there too, and I do not come to those meetings because I don't want to influence any comments or suggestions that are there, so I wait for them to come to us to make comments, so I don't do it. And anyone here who wants to do that is fine, but I don't want to be in that position because they are advisory in nature. And so when they come to us, they are providing their professional advice to us, and that is what Florida Statute 163 allows for them to do. I also want to state, when I speak to my town manager and I have weekly meetings. And I want to make this extremely clear. I did not accuse my town manager of anything. What I simply stated was that I saw a report and I also saw a newspaper article stating that our town manager had looked for another job. In so stating that, I said, I have met with my town manager on a weekly basis, and not at one time did my town manager suggest to me that my town manager was looking for another job. When a person looks for another job, that means that they are dissatisfied with where they're at. I have never accused my town manager of anything. My town manager and I have dialogue. I've been very professional when my town manager and I speak, and we speak quite often. If there's disagreement, my town manager and I find out about it. I was extremely shocked to find out in a newspaper that is public that my town manager was looking for another job. So therefore, in doing so, I made a comment in the public to say, how could you be looking for another job and not have at least informed us? I understand. He is our town manager. He has been here since January 9th, 2025, if my understanding is correct. I work with my town manager. Accusations and attacks, I don't deal with. Facts, I do deal with. Here's the other thing. I have never directed any staff member to do something that is outside of my town manager. In fact, when I ask my town manager something, he either says to me, I will get with that department, or actually tell me to talk to that department. I am also a resident of this community. I just don't sit on this dais. I am a resident of this community. In so doing, I speak to the clerk's office. Town manager, please let me know, should I speak to you when I have to submit my reports? Should I talk to you first, or should the clerk's office then contact me? We need to understand these kinds of issues when they come here, because when we hear comments from the public that we are directing information, we need to understand where that is coming from. And I want to make it extremely clear. Another comment that was made is that we're acting like the residents or the commission down south, i.e. Riviera Beach. I want to say this. Congratulations, Riviera Beach, for winning All-American City. I hope that we can do it someday. So thank you for acting well enough in order to receive that compliment. I do not appreciate the fact that we are compared to other communities. We are of ourselves. And I will say this. I lived through the years when this particular dais were fighting, literally fighting with each other. One thing I must say, we may disagree, but we do not fight with each other. And we respectfully disagree. So I wanted to be told, I, 1, do not attack you. I, 2, don't attack anyone that's on this dais. Questions that are asked is for the benefit of the public, and I make sure of that. I try to foster integrity and also transparency. Therefore, my comment that was made was to foster transparency. I wasn't made aware of it. My town manager didn't let me know of it, and so therefore I wanted to make it very transparent. Here's the other thing. If we have employees that are out there who have grievance, they have no place where they can meet these grievances because we do not have an HR department anymore. There has to be some place or someone that our employees can go and talk to and feel that they are trusted and that these comments can go back to our town manager so that our town manager is aware of our personnel issues that we have here. And I want to make that extremely clear. We do not have an HR department where you can file any grievances or state that. Let us make sure that when we speak, We speak with understanding and we speak with facts. And Katia, I want you to understand that when I'm speaking to you, please do not run out the door. Stay here and listen, just like I have to sit here and listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Linden.
Tom's my button man. All right, Tom, thank you. Saturday was one of the best meetings I've ever attended. Let me clarify that. That was Roger's meeting, and over the last 9-10 years, as you all know, we all get calls, questions, and there's never been too much of an opportunity to have dialogue back and forth. Prior to the meeting, Roger and I spoke. Prior to that, I talked to Vivian, and I asked Vivian, can I attend? She said, sure, all I got to do is put a public notice out there. And I did speak at the very, very end, and I told everybody, do you know how hard it is to sit here for an hour and a half and not say a word? And they just, then I, quick explanation of the Sunshine Law, and that was done, all right? Those type of meetings were so informative, they should have been recorded. We should have had access to that recording. They were airing their grievances because they're restricted 3 minutes up here and so forth. And you couldn't talk back to them. And I want to thank Richard for being there, because he was able to answer the questions to put Roger on the spot, or would have put Roger on the spot. So, not that Roger didn't know the answer, but he couldn't say nothing because I'm sitting in the audience. Right? And I respect him for that, obviously. So, the fact that my water was leaking. Yeah, leaking all there. The fact that I was there, I'd do it again in a heartbeat, and I would suggest now, where Commissioner O'Rourke left off, we should not be attending other meetings, planning and zoning, tree board, because the minute we get in there and we say a word, we're representing with the town. Forget what they say is that you speaking or is that you representing the town? That's happened here. But I think what we need to do, and Tom is more than qualified to do it if we can nail him down, is to go through a little exercise on what we should and should not be doing. Our phones are supposed to be off. Every one of us attended ethics meetings. Have any excuse you want, but you're not supposed to answer them. Richard got up and spoke with Mr. Hensley for a moment. I'm sure it was important, but that's not permitted under the Sunshine Law. Same as if you text from you to me, you cannot text another person on the dais. What was the conversation and so forth? You're not disclosing. So we've got a bunch of holes in there, and I would venture to say we're all responsible for something along the way. And I brought this up once before, and when Kim was vice mayor, we got into a little bit of a discussion that at the ethics meeting, one person will tell you one thing in the meeting, and another lawyer or another will tell you a different thing. All right? That's a problem. So, well, it's mandatory to have the ethics training, something prepared by Tom to go over some of those highlights. I think we know all the basics. I mean, that's we've all been here long enough. It's the little things that are getting away from us. So just got to clarify that. And Judith, I agree with you. we should not be going through any department head for anything. If I do need to make a call or have a question, I call Rich, and I'll simply say, you got time, or do you want me to give him a call? And I'll let him make the decision. That's a complete violation of his contract, complete. So we need to stop that. But I'm done, Rianne. Wow.
You all set? All set?
I'm done. Yeah.
Okay. Vice Mayor.
My comment is I'm gonna stay on this whole thing since we're talking about it. Talking to Rich, it didn't happen, and I was asking, can we get out here a little early because I got to drive to Orlando, but that's never gonna happen. But I do want to say that I will be having a listening session August 1st, and I did take my training today while you guys will be at the conference taking yours. I took mine today, and it stated, you say lawyers say different things, that if another commissioner attend, you can actually videotape the whole thing and they can attend and advertise it. So, you know, if you want to do a joint one together, Mike, me and you could do it in the Mike and Mike show, and we can advertise it, and we can put it on video. But no, I'll be doing one August 1st.
That's a violation of the Sunshine Law.
So the August 1st, I will be having one, so please don't attend.
You can attend, but you're not allowed to talk.
Right.
And if you do attend, you have to notice.
Right. I don't. Yeah,
It's
I
a
haven't.
simple rule.
I haven't attended any one of y'all's because I hear you a lot tonight and every other night.
All set? Yeah. Okay. Okay, how do you follow with all that? Just to your point, I understand everything you're saying. You and I have been together for a long time, so you've kind of told me things as I was growing up as a young
By the way, I have to interrupt this because
Sure.
we were together on the kickball thing.
Yes.
And my knee has been hurting ever since. So thank you very much for that. And dodgeball, yes.
Workman's comp claim.
But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
All right, we'll get to that in a second. See, now you made me lose my train of thought. First off, it was noticed, just to explain. Secondly, I can attest to everything Commissioner Linden said. He was quiet as a mouse the entire meeting, didn't make no statement. He was basically a spectator listening to the conversation. And while we're on that topic, I want to thank all the residents that showed up to that meeting. That was a very well-attended meeting, and I enjoyed every moment of listening to every resident state their case for how they feel about the way our town is moving. I had my public information officer there, Merrill, and they had a wonderful conversation about the newsletter, of how they felt about it, how they like to see it moving forward, and that's the way it should be. It shouldn't be us deciding how the newsletter should be. It should be the residents, because at the end of the day, they're the end user of who looks at what we disseminate as far as information is concerned. So I want to thank all of them for being there to give us that dialogue, having wonderful conversations. Thank Richard for being there, giving clarity to things that they had specific questions on. It was a wonderful meeting. To the case of what Commissioner O'Rourke is stating about us being at each other initiatives created by other commissioners, it's very simple. And one thing that the residents said is, we'd like to have access to those that don't have their own platforms. Residents, I said to you that day, if you want to talk to anybody that doesn't have their own platform, call them. Call them. They're always available to you. Call Town Hall. The town clerk calls me and emails me every time somebody's calling to speak to me. Just call them. They will make themselves available, whether they come here and meet with you in person or whether you have a conversation with them privately on the phone. If you guys want to create your own platforms, that's at your discretion. That's not for you to think, oh, because I have something, you have to have something. That was my own accord in order to have some sort of forum for myself. That's what I created. That doesn't make me any better or any worse or anything. It's just something I thought to myself, just like the community forums that I pushed to do that. That's me. If you'd like to have your own session, I'll be happy to take one of my days that I do, because I do it quarterly, and I'll gladly step aside for you to have your day. That's how much I'm willing to have us as a team work together in the community. It's not about me, it's always about we. I'm the mayor, but I'm only one vote. I will make that very clear, just as much as you did when you were sitting in this chair. Doesn't mean I'm everything that or the face that runs the place. I am one of 5. I decided to make an initiative, and that's all it is. But my goal for that was to interact with the community outside of a formal setting, to your point, where they only have 3 minutes to speak, and give them a platform for them to speak. Not something where I'm talking. As my wife says in school, lips shut and ears turned on. And that's exactly what they got. And I can guarantee you, if you ask any one of those that were here, they can attest to what I'm saying right now. It was a wonderful time. I'm going to have more. I want the community to bring more, and let's have this dialogue together. To your points of what you experienced tonight, I sympathize with that. I'd like to challenge those that make those claims to produce how they got that information, because that information doesn't just come from anywhere. And I'd like to know where you got that information and who presented that information to you, because that's just as important as making the claim of the information. So that way clarity can be given. I don't see this dais as a dais that's of a certain type or quality. We are not people that disrespect each other. As you see tonight, he had a situation where he thought I was calling him out. I corrected myself for him, because that's my colleague at the end of the day. He's not my enemy. He will always be my colleague, and that's the way we're going to be to the end of our time. And I've told you that before, and I've also told you the joke of taking notes, and I have taken notes, and I can say that. No different than you, no different than you, and definitely no different than you. We are all colleagues at the end of the day. We will all have days where we don't have an agreement on some things, but that's the way the world works, okay? I tell my wife every day, I don't want to do the dishes, but I have to do them, and I don't agree, but at the end of the day, she's still my wife, and I love her. So I love you guys. I love you guys out there as well. Let's make this town move over together, and let's try to limit the amount of problems that turn into bigger problems, because the clarity and transparency is not there. But I am challenging everyone. If you got something to say, make sure you produce why you're saying it, because I will do the same once it's asked upon me. And I will leave it at that. Any requests for future agenda items? Hearing none, I will state out.
I talked real quickly about the salary survey.
Yes.
Do you guys can you give me direction, if it's your choice, to try and find the money so that we can do it start it this fiscal year, so that we can try to incorporate it?
You're looking for just consensus?
And we'll bring it back. We'll have to bring it back, because it'll be over the 10,000.
Okay. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
That helps us.
Okay. Oh, and actually, before I go any further, before I say motion of adjournment, I want to say happy birthday to somebody that decided to walk themselves up here and got my attention. To our library director, Judy Cooper. But also, I hear there's another birthday on the 18th, and I don't how you shake your head. I'm calling you out. Captain Sanford, happy birthday. And we don't have to go through the whole singing process. We just want to say we appreciate you. We're happy for you. That's your day to celebrate your entrance into this world. And I hope whatever you have planned, you enjoy it every second of every minute. And with that, I will entertain a motion of adjournment.
Second. Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Good night, everybody.